The girl's eyes sparkled, as she couldn't stop talking about Disneyland, rides, ice cream, and magical adventures. She should have been a little over 10, her thin frame and pale complexion, contrasting with the liveliness in her voice. The man sitting beside them, however, was far from impressed. Several times he turned toward the girl.
"Could you please be quiet?"
he said sharply, glaring at the child. She stopped talking, trying to hold in the joy that was so hard to contain. But soon, unable to resist, she started again. With a huff of frustration, the man waved over a flight attendant.
"Can you move me?"
he asked, his voice heavy with annoyance.
"I paid for a seat, and I'm trying to rest."
"I'm sorry, sir,"
the flight attendant replied with an apologetic smile.
"but the flight is fully booked. There are no other seats available."
Seated a few rows back, another man observed the entire scene. Something about the little girl's spirit touched him, and the man's rudeness bothered him. Without a second thought, he called the flight attendant over.
"Excuse me," he said, "I'd be happy to switch seats with that gentleman."
Moments later, he found himself sitting next to the little girl, who glanced up at him shyly. He smiled and asked warmly,
"So, where are you headed? Disneyland?"
The girl's face brightened instantly.
"Yes,"
she exclaimed.
"I can't wait to ride all the roller coasters, and eat lots of ice cream."
"And after Disneyland,"
the man asked with a twinkle in his eye,
"where else do you want to go?"
The girl's face grew serious. She paused, her eyes flickering with sadness, far beyond her years.
"There's so much I want to do,"
she whispered.
"but I don't think I'll have enough time."
Her words hung in the air, and the man's heart sank. He glanced at the mother, who was silently wiping away tears that had begun to stream down her cheeks.
"My daughter,"
the mother began, her voice trembling.
"she has cancer. It's advanced. This trip, it's all I could give her."
The man listened intently, his face softening with compassion, as the mother recounted their story. Diagnosed over a year ago, the girl had been through countless standard treatments, but the prognosis was bleak. The doctors in Oklahoma offered new very expensive treatment, with guarantees less than 50%. Several other clinics throughout the United States also offered more modern methods of treating this type of cancer, and with a higher guarantee. But they did not have that amount of money. Out of desperation, the mother had saved everything she could, just to bring her daughter to Disneyland, to make her last wish come true. The man sat in silence for a moment, his thoughts racing. Finally, he spoke.
What if we delayed Disneyland, just for a bit? I know a clinic in Boston, and they're doing groundbreaking work, on rare cancers. I'm about to be sure they can help her. And don't worry about money, I'll cover everything. Just don't waste time. We can go straight to Boston, when we land."
The mother stared at him, disbelief written across her face.
"But, who are you?"
she asked, her voice barely above a whisper.
"I lost my wife to cancer 20 years ago,"
the man said softly.
"It's why I started working even harder, to grow my business. So that I could dedicate my life to helping others. I'm not a doctor, but I've worked with some of the best. Please, let me help."
The little girl watched the man carefully, her eyes wide with a mixture of hope and confusion. Could this stranger really be offering them a miracle? She turned to her mother, whose face was filled with uncertainty and hope. The mother nodded slowly, her tears flowing freely now. So, instead of heading straight for Disneyland, they found themselves on another flight, this time to Boston, where the doors of one of the world's best cancer clinics opened to them. It was only after they arrived that they learned the full truth. Modestly dressed man, who mostly flew economy class, was a multimillionaire, a benefactor, who had poured his resources into cancer research, after losing his wife to the same cruel disease. Months passed. The treatment was grueling, but effective. With the help of the Boston clinic, the little girl began to recover. And when the day came that they finally did make it to Disneyland, it was a day filled with laughter, joy, and a new lease on life. As the girl rode the roller coasters, and ate her ice cream, her mother watched with tears in her eyes, but this time, They were tears of happiness. They had been given a second chance, all because a stranger with a kind heart had chosen to listen, to care, and to offer a lifeline, when they needed it most.
If you like our content, could you please subscribe this channel, and press the bell icon? This will be of great help to the development of our channel, as we are going to provide you huge amount of interesting information about different places all over the world, and more.